Modals are the last type of auxiliary we're going to see, and these are words that express possibility, permission, necessity, or some other limited meanings. Now, there's only 9 modals in English, at least in American English. So can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must. At some point in the future, in a more advanced course, we would talk about different dialects and how some different words can appear as modals and other words that look like modals but aren't. But what I want to do is I just want to show you some examples of these. So they can be in the positive form or the negative form. So modal of ability, I can't climb that wall. So we have the verb here, can't is supporting climb, and this is ability. I do not have the ability to climb that wall. We might have something like a modal of permission. You can go to the washroom. We have the verb go. Can is supporting it. It's saying you have permission to go to the washroom. And some people, they might think this is ability. You have the ability to go to the washroom, but usually in conversation, it's used as permission. You must finish your dinner. Here we see the verb finish, and we see the modal must supporting it. This is obligation. You're obligated to finish your dinner. You're required to. And a modal of probability. He might come later. So come is going to be the verb, your laughter out, and then might is supporting come. So this is probability. There is a probability that he will come later. So these are the different meanings that they have. And as you can probably guess, in a sentence, they'll be labeled as modals and build up into their own modal phrases. And this is going to be the final chain that we have here. So modals will appear first in the verb chain, and they can be combined with different aspects, but they don't need to. And if they are, here's the order. It'll be a modal, a perfect, a progressive, and then the verb. So it can be modal then verb, modal progressive verb, perfect verb, as long as it's in that order. So here's might be lying to me. So the main verb here is lying. Be is a progressive that's giving the ing to lying, and might is a modal. It's giving some probability or possibility here, and it doesn't give anything to the next word in line. So this is just be. It's just in its what's called its bare form, or you might even see this as its infinitive form. So in this case, might is the modal. It builds up into a modal phrase that takes a progressive. So this is be, might be lying, which is a progressive, builds up into progressive phrase, takes the verb phrase. Lying is a verb, builds into a verb phrase, and to me is the prepositional phrase, and that keeps going on. So that is the verb chain that we have for modal phrases. And now we're able to cover a lot of the different types of very simple predicates in English, or I shouldn't say very simple, just simple predicates in English. So there's a limited amount of modals, so just try to identify them in each of the following sentences, pause the video, and now I'll go over the solutions. So I refuse to join any club that would have me as a member. So would is a modal here, would have me as a member. This is hypothetical here. If they would have me as a member, I refuse to join. Okay, we must indeed. So must is a modal. All hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately. Shall is another modal here. This is indicating an event in the future, so like a possibility in the future. Okay, finally, 3. I don't believe you have to be better than everybody else. I believe you have to be better than you ever thought you could be. So could here is the modal, and this is talking about the possibility here, or potential. We have some potential meaning. So we can see a lot of different meanings with modals, but because the list is limited, there's only 9, that makes identification really easy. And the nice part is that except for the word can, those words will pretty much always appear as modals. And can would be an object, like a can or to can something. Now, negations can intervene in our main verb chain. So this is the word not, specifically the word not. We're not talking about the word no. We're not talking about the word never. We're talking about the word not. And that reverses the polarity. So if something's positive, it makes it negative. If it's negative, it makes it positive. So this can appear anywhere between the modal and the actual verb itself in the chain. It doesn't, in fact, you don't even need a a modal in that case. I do not care could just be an auxiliary. So could not care a bit and has been not swimming. Has not been swimming would be more natural, but has been not swimming. This is understandable, so let's show it off. So when you have the word not in the verb chain, we label this as neg, and this is going to build up into its own negative phrase. So you can think of it as a phrase that has a negative polarity. So that neg p actually has a meaning. It has a negative polarity. So in the case of could not care a bit, it's appearing after the modal. So the modal is taking the negative phrase as a complement, but not itself is a negative, and that's going to have to build up into that negative phrase. And then what is the negative making negative? It's making the verb phrase negative. So could care a bit, could not care a bit. So it's taking that verb phrase as its complement. In the case on the right, has been not swimming. So we're just basically inserting a negation phrase between been and swimming. Exactly what you've done before. We're just inserting this intervening phrase. If it would have been has not been swimming. So if this was not and this was been, we would simply just change the labels around. So we would have a neg p has not, and then been swimming would be a progressive phrase. So if we change the order, we would just get that order of phrases. So now we're finally able to make this full structure. Could not have quickly run last week. Could is a modal, builds a modal phrase. Not is negation, builds a negation phrase. Have is a perfect auxiliary, builds a perfect phrase. Then we have a verb phrase headed by the verb run. We have quickly an adverb phrase modifying it. And then last week, a noun phrase modifying run as well. That's our final structure. So let's make sure that you can do these structures too. Draw the full structure for should have not been questionably honest. Pause the video, try it yourself, and then we'll go to the next page and I'll give you the solution. So if you can do this after one run through of all the videos, I think you may be a genius. Okay, so let's just label these words. We're going to make it kind of an ugly tree. I want to label the words first, then build the structure. So should is a modal. I know this because I know the list. It has this sense of obligation to it. Maybe let's start on the right. Questionably honest. Sometimes it's easier to start on the right. So honest is an adjective. We know this is going to have to build up into an adjective phrase. And I see from the left that we have a qualifier telling us how honest we're being. We're being questionably honest. Being. This is a verb. So this is going to need a verb phrase. And questionably honest is what you're being. So it makes sense that the adjective phrase comes out of the verb phrase. Not is a negation. And this is going to build into a negation phrase that negates the verb phrase. Have is going to be perfect in this case because we do see this en on the verb. The affix is skipping over not and attaching to the verb there. So that's going to have to build up into a perfect phrase. And finally, the modal will take the whole thing afterwards and build up into a modal phrase. So this is how the structure for that verb, that modal phrase would look, that predicate would look. And those are the individual labels for all of the words. So hopefully you're able to do that after a little bit of practice.